Solo Leveling, Season 1, Episode 9, You've Been Hiding Your Skills. The chill of the dungeon air clung to my skin like a damp shroud. The smell was the first thing that hit me. Wet stone, stale air, and that faint metallic tang of blood and rust mixed together. My footsteps echoed softly off the walls as I walked into the gloom. The sound of boots against rock swallowed quickly by the endless corridors ahead. I hadn't expected this raid to bring me here. Back to faces from a nightmare I thought I'd left behind. Mr. Song, Juhi, Kim Sang-shik, and Jung Ho. 4 of the survivors from the Kartanon Temple the day everything changed. When my eyes first landed on them, there had been a moment of stillness inside me, like my body forgot how to breathe. That cursed dungeon had burned itself into my soul. The screams, the betrayal, the helplessness, and the cold, crushing weight of the stone god's gaze. Kim Sang-shik wouldn't meet my eyes at first, and honestly, I didn't know what I would have said to him if he had. His betrayal, leaving me behind that day, still burned in the corners of my memory, but I also saw the tremor in his hands, the stiffness in his jaw. He carried his own ghosts. I wasn't here for revenge, not now. But the wound wasn't healed either. Our group was larger this time, 3 ex-convict hunters in prison uniforms, grinning like they were in their element. They were the kind of people who found joy in violence, their eyes bright with something that wasn't quite human. And then there was Kang Taeshik, the Hunters Association escort, walking at the front with his hands in his pockets. His presence was sharp, like a blade hidden in plain sight. His movements were calm, but there was a stillness about him that made me keep him in my peripheral vision at all times. We cut down goblins easily at first. The prisoners slaughtered them without hesitation, their laughter echoing off the walls. Mr. Song stayed close to Juhi, his eyes scanning for danger, and I worked in silence. Every swing of my blade felt clean, precise. My dagger sliced through rough green skin, the steel humming in my grip as blood sprayed warm against the cold air. It felt too easy, almost unsettlingly so. After one skirmish, Mr. Song glanced at me. "You've gotten stronger, Jinwoo," he said, the faintest note of pride in his voice. He eyed the dagger in my hand. "And you've got yourself a nice new toy." Juhi's gaze lingered on me too, curious. "You're not hurt at all? Did you start training in martial arts or something?" I gave her the same answer I'd given others before, half truth, half lie. Just been keeping up with daily exercises. The truth that I'd been reborn in strength, skill, and will wasn't something I could share. Not yet. At a fork in the dungeon, 3 tunnels yawned before us like the open maws of beasts. Taeshik suggested splitting up to save time. His voice was calm, almost casual, but I caught the faint glint in his eyes when he looked at me. With my heightened perception, I felt the faint pull of the boss's mana to the left. I volunteered for that path, taking Mr. Song and Juhi with me. Taeshik went right with the prisoners. Kim and Jong-ho took the middle path. Before we parted, I caught Taeshik's gaze again, steady, measuring, like he was sizing me up for something. The air in the left tunnel was colder. The sound of water dripping somewhere in the distance kept time with our footsteps. Mr. Song asked a few quiet questions about my recovery after the double dungeon, and I kept my answers vague. Then, a scream. A raw, tearing sound that ricocheted off the stone walls and froze the blood in my veins. We ran. My boots pounded against the stone, breath sharp in my chest. When we burst into the chamber ahead, the world seemed to slow. Blood everywhere. The bodies of the prisoners lay scattered, mutilated beyond recognition. Kim Sang-shik was crumpled against the wall, his chest rising and falling in shallow, ragged breaths. I dropped to my knees beside him. "Stay with me, damn it!" Juhi's hands glowed with healing light, but I could tell her magic could only buy him moments. "Don't you dare die now," I said, my voice low but shaking. "You have to live, so I can keep blaming you for that day." His lips trembled. I'm sorry, Jinwoo. I wanted to apologize, but..." His breath hitched. Not enough time. His eyes glazed over, and something heavy settled in my chest. It wasn't forgiveness, and it wasn't hate either. It was just silence. A shadow moved. Instinct screamed. I turned, just in time to see a dagger arcing toward Juhi. My hand shot out, clamping around a wrist, Taeshik's wrist. His expression was cold, detached. "I'll just say the prisoners killed you all," he murmured. Behind me, Mr. Song raised his sword. "Get back, Jinwoo. I'll handle this." Taeshik's movements were fast, unnaturally so. He came at Song like a wraith, dagger flashing in the dim light. Steel rang out as Song blocked, his magic flaring to life. "You're good with a sword," Taeshik remarked after a few clashes, his voice almost admiring. Song's blade sparked against the assassin's, but he couldn't match his speed forever. Wounds began to open on his arms and side, and Juhi's frantic healing was slowing her down with fear. Then, Song made his move, fire magic exploding from his hand, engulfing Taeshik in flames. The assassin stepped through them with only a few burns, smiling faintly. He moved for the killing blow, and my dagger intercepted his. Up close, I could feel it, the killing intent radiating from him. It was sharp, focused, intoxicating in its own way. "You're no E-rank," he said quietly, his smile widening. "Second awakening, huh?" I didn't answer. His words weren't meant to be a conversation. They were the measuring of a predator. "Doesn't matter," he said, his voice dropping. "You've got skill, but you don't have the experience. And I—" His grin widened into something monstrous. "I like killing people more than beasts." Something in me tightened at that. The air between us grew heavy, a familiar chime echoing in my head. System quest, eliminate the enemy. I didn't hesitate. Speed flooded my limbs, the poison on my blade gleaming in the dim light. We clashed, steel against steel, sparks flying, the sound of metal grinding through the air. Then he was gone, vanished. Pain sliced across my ankle as he reappeared behind me. Stealth, an assassin's most dangerous trick. I triggered full recovery, the wound vanishing instantly. For the first time, I saw a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "Who are you?" he whispered. I didn't answer. Instead, I let my own killing intent pour out, thick and suffocating. He flinched, blinded by the force of it. My blade pierced his chest. His breath hitched, and I leaned in. "I get stronger every time I fight," I told him softly. He coughed blood, a twisted smile still on his lips. Careful of the darkness that follows. Then he was still. The system chimed again. New skill acquired. Stealth. When it was over, Wu Jinchul arrived, his eyes flicking to Taeshik's corpse and then to us. "Who killed him?" he asked. Before I could speak, Mr. Song stepped forward. "I did." Wu seemed to accept it, noting Juhi's presence as a healer, but his eyes lingered on me a moment longer than necessary. Mr. Song smiled at me later. "I owed you one," he said simply. Hours later, the man who hired Taeshik turned himself in. The case was closed. Juhi and I sat on a park bench, the night air cool on my face. She reached into her bag, pulled out an essence stone, and held it out to me. "Do you remember this?" she asked, her voice quiet. I did, and for a moment, the weight of everything we'd survived settled between us. Heavy, unspoken, but shared.